thank goodness.
Hello, everyone. We're back here at Tanner's Orchard with Grandma Tanner, cooking with Grandma Tanner. Today, she made homemade vegetable beef soup. She made this for us a lot when we were younger. So, Grandma Tanner, take it away.
Okay, first of all, I usually try to buy a lean beef stew, or you can buy a bone with meat on it. And if I'm going to make it in the morning, I will put it in the crock pot overnight and put it on low. Put it on high for just a little while, and then when you go to bed, turn on low, and it'll be done in the morning. Your meat will be all ready, and then you can make your soup in the morning. So what I did today was I brought it down here, put it in the crock pot. I had about 1.5 pounds of stew meat. Put it in the crock pot at 8:30, and in 5 hours on high, it was done. So I put onions and some this Tanner's Robust meat seasoning, steak seasoning. I put some of that in with the meat, which really adds a good flavor to it. And then my husband Richard, he always likes barley. So he said his mother always put barley. So I always keep a bag of barley in the cupboard, and I put about 1/2 cup or 1/4 of a cup of barley in there.
With the meat.
With the meat.
At 8:30 this morning.
At 8:30 this morning in the crock pot. And 1/2 onion. And I cooked it. So then the meats are pretty good size, so I pulled the meat out, chopped it up a little bit. And then about a half hour ago, I put some beef broth with water. Now the recipe says about 1/2 of this, but I put the whole thing, and I put about this much water in there.
In a different pan or in with the beef?
Yes, in a different pan. So then I added the vegetables. Well, first I added some of these creamettes. I don't know, my mother always put these creamettes in chili soup. I think it's because there were 6 of us. 6 of us children, and it made it go a little farther. So you just put a little bit of that elbow macaroni in there, and you let that cook for a little while. And then I added 2 pounds of mixed vegetables. And I also added celery. Now in the wintertime, everybody's on diets. So I buy a lot of celery and have it all cut up in the refrigerator. It's just a good crunch. There's no calories. They say you burn the calories chewing it. But you save the leaves. That tender part on the inside of instead of throwing away, I chop them up and add that to my vegetables. And that gives it a really good flavor. So now the vegetables have been boiling.
And your noodles.
And these pasta is just 1/2 cup in there, but it's still plenty. So those are all cooked, and this is my meat that I had in the crock pot. Now I did add 1 baking potato. I just had that on hand, so I thought, oh, I'll put that in there. So you do have a lot of broth with this, and I'm going to just ladle this over and mix these two together, and then you just heat them together and simmer them for a little while.
Now that meat, when you put it in the crock pot, what'd you put in with it? You put the potato and the onions and the seasoning in. Did you put water?
Yes, I put about 1/2 gallon of water.
1/2 gallon or 1/2 cup?
1/2 gallon.
Okay.
And so that makes broth. Now, if you want a little stronger broth, you can buy the beef broth cubes, those little cubes.
Bouillon.
And that will be good. So you mix this all together. And if you get real nice lean meat, you do not have to take the fat off of it. But if you have a lot of fat on your meat, then I will let that set,
Cool down.
cool down, and your broth will, or your fat will come to the top, and then you just
Scrape it off.
skim all that off. So there is your all mixed together, the meat and the vegetables.
Now, Grandpa Tanner will be eating on this for days.
Yeah, actually, I kept track of how much this whole pot cost me. It costs between $12 and $13. Now the vegetables, you can probably get a little, these were $2 each, and my meat was about $5.50. So that was the most expensive. But this vegetable soup is so healthy for you. Now another thing I put a little Lowry salt in there. I put some of this salt, and you can keep tasting it to see if it's strong enough salt flavor. You can put pepper. I put a little garlic powder in there, and because I think garlic is always good with beef, and so you can just simmer that for about 15 minutes, and there is your nice vegetable soup.
Homemade vegetable soup.
Homemade vegetable soup is so good.
And then you
in
could
this wintertime.
and you could make a great big pot of that and put it in containers or jars and freeze it too.
Yes.
And then
just get it out. What a simple meal. And another thing that you can do is pour all your vegetables in there in the crock pot with the meat. Instead of cooking them separate, you just put them all in there and cook them all together in the crock pot.
after the meat's been cooked for a little bit.
Yeah, you need to get that meat cooked first.
Okay, and you just used a pound of beef stew meat.
A pound of beef. It's about 1.25 pounds or 1.5 pounds, and 2 pounds of vegetables, and then the beef broth, and the elbow macaroni, barley, the onion, celery, salt, Lowry's, a little garlic, and this here robust. This we're selling this, and it is wonderful on steaks, and it just gives your soup a nice little flavor. And you can use like a teaspoon if you like more of it. You can use 2 teaspoons. But it does take a little bit of salt because your vegetables don't have salt, and your meat and all the water and the broth and everything. So that's
Easy peasy.
easy peasy, a nice winter meal.
All right. Well, thank you, Grandma Tanner. And we just got a couple more weeks. We close in our last day will be November 30th. Don't forget to order your Thanksgiving pies or breads from us for Thanksgiving. And we have our Cans for Care sale going for every canned item, or for every item you bring out for the food pantry. You get 30% off a non-food, non-sale item. And then a lot of our dressings and jams and salsas, they're all on sale too. So
And our apples.
Oh.
Buy 2 bags or 2 boxes and get the third one free.
there you go. Well, we hope to see you all out here. Hopefully next week the weather will be a little bit nicer.
Thank you.